Welcome back from the break. Now, the Ministry of Education has set up a 7-member committee to investigate and recommend measures regarding the mass failure of teachers that took part in the 2023 Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination. It will be recalled that out of the 7,728 candidates who wrote the exams, 6,451 failed, representing 83.5%. But speaking on measures being put in place to curb the situation, the Education Minister, Dr. Yaw-Osei Adutwum, says the committee will, among other things, ensure that preparatory materials are made available to candidates to curb the high failure rate. We'll be going into that, but first, let's take a look at the performance of our teachers and how the performance have been over the years. But even before we bring you that, let's now hear from Dr. Yaw-Osei Adutwum, speaking during the inauguration of the committee earlier today.
The committee is looking at the extent to which the Ghana Teacher Licensure Exam is aligned with the national teacher standards and other supporting policies or framework, such as the pre-tertiary curriculum. So, and then look at the quality of students being admitted into the teacher education institutions relative to the grade and program of specialization at the senior high schools. Also look at the selection process.
So let's share with you the graphical representation of the performance of our teachers in the licensure examination. We told you earlier that over 80% failed in the 2023 one. Those who took the research, out of the numbers that wrote close to 8,000, some 6,000 and over failed. Now, so this is a look at the performance of these teachers during this licensure examination. Now, if you look at it, we have a total of 145,050 since it started in 2018 to 2022. Out of that, we've had those who have passed are 9,589, representing 65.2%. Those who have failed are 50,461, representing 34.84%. So these are the numbers that have failed as well. Now, so let's look at performance since 2022. That last year, we have a total of 8,814 people who sat in 2022. Now, those who sat, so that's for the first part. We had 7,743 writing for the second one in the same year, and for this year, those who were writing in the first one. So the thing is that if you fail, you need to resit again. We had 7,728. Now, out of that, we had 3,624 who passed when they sat for the first time in 2022, representing 41.1%. Those who passed in the second attempt in 2022 were 2,904, representing 37.5%. Those who passed for the first time when they wrote in 2023 were 1,277, and then that represents 16.5%. Now, those who failed, from the 8,814 people who wrote in 2022, we had 5,090 teachers, representing 58.9% failing. Those who wrote in the second time in 2022, out of the 7,743 people who wrote, we had 4,839 failing in that examination. And then those who resat in the first part in 2023, out of the 7,728 people who wrote, we had 6,451, representing 83.5% failing in that regard. So that has been the performance. Let's look at the 2023 performance by mode of training. So how were you trained before you graduated to be a teacher and then before coming in to write the examination? So out of those who passed, we had a number of 353 who had gone through the regular module of being trained, you know. So they went to, if it's the college, were on campus learning, if it's the university, were on campus learning. Out of that, we had 1,383 of those who went through the regular module failing. Now, when it comes to distance, so those who are in the home and they go for weekend classes, we had 777 of them passing and had 4,287 of those failing the exams. Those who went through the sandwich module, we had 131 of them passing with 664 of them failing. For online, we had 12 of them passing and 11 of them failing. So that's how the performance had been by mode of training. So regular, distance, sandwich, and online. That has been it. Now, to help us understand the trend and possible solution to this challenge, we have been joined on Zoom by Divine Be, who is Senior Programs Officer, Africa Education Watch. And he is an education specialist and program evaluator with a bachelor's degree in IT education and a master's degree in educational measurement and evaluation. Right person for us to speak to. Grateful to you for joining us here. What do you make of the setting of up of this committee? So the education minister is setting up this committee to look into these failures. What do you make of it?
All right, thank you, and sorry. Good afternoon to your viewers. For me, it is a welcome news as it reflects generally the call made by Ghanaians when this issue came up. We know that Council for PTA has also called for setting up a committee to investigate. Teacher unions have also made similar call. CSO, those in the academia, and then also those of you in the media have made the call for an investigation. So for me, I think it is the right step taken by the Ministry of Education to actually investigate, because there are a lot of questions that needs to be answered as far as the potential teachers' failure of the examination is concerned, especially when they are resitting for a number of time, and some of them we understand I've actually sat for it for about 9 times and I feel I think generally there are a number of questions that need to be answered. For instance, we need to understand the quality of teachers or potential those seeking admission to the colleges. What sort of qualification are they coming with? And then also, how did they pass their examination, given the level of difficulty, the questions we have seen? For me, I think anybody that has passed his college level or the university level examination and has successfully completed college or university should answer those basic literacy and then numeracy questions. But if they are struggling to pass the licensure examination, then we need to understand also how they were able to pass their school level examination. And then also there are theories like probably there is something happening at the end of the NTC when it comes to marking of the scripts. There are theories that probably they may be miskeying such that students that may have been passing are also being failed. So we need to understand really the committee also needs to come to a conclusion on the instances of such happening when it comes to marking of the script. And then also we need to come to the point to understand that do we have to allow those resitting to continue writing forever, or we need to consider reintroduction of a capping system so that you write for a particular number of time and then the window of opportunity is closed. For me, I think these are some of the questions that we need answers for as far as the committee's work is concerned.
Well, so the committee, I'm sure, has its own strategies or keys, or you say objectives or target. But having looked at how the teachers, how they were trained and how they are failing, I mean, we know the numbers that went through the regular mode and how they were failing, those who went through distance, those who went to sandwich and online. What would be your recommendation to the committee as to how they can get the best out of this particular exercise they are to embark on?
Okay, so I don't know the terms of reference that they are
Sure.
working with, but that's some of the areas that I previously mentioned that they need to look at when it comes to the quality of teachers that those seeking admission into the colleges and universities to become teachers, the quality of entry, and then also we need to look at what the sort of training it is. We also need to pay attention to the sort of or the mode of receiving their training, because if you look at it, the failure rate is so high among those that are doing distance and then also sandwich programs. So I think there has to be a focus on that area, whether we need to do some sort of modification or a reform how we deliver our sandwich and distance programs for persons that want to become teachers. So they need to focus on that as well. We need to ensure the quality assurance is not compromised as far as the delivery of sandwich and then sandwich and distance programs are concerned. Whereas we will not say all of sandwich and distance program, because if we want to increase gross tertiary enrollment rates, of course, the bricks and mortar classroom will never ensure that we increase the rate. So we need to capitalize on technology to achieve that. So if we are capitalizing on technology to deliver a sandwich and distance program, and that doesn't mean quality needs to be compromised. So they need to also focus that area, ensure that such mode of delivering tuition to potential teachers are also of high quality as when a standard is concerned.
Now, one of the recommendations that we've been told of is that there's going to be capping on the number of times a candidate can rewrite the examinations. What do you make of that?
Right from the onset of this whole debate, that has been the position of us at Africa Education Watch. Look, we cannot continue to allow them to write forever. If you look at how it is done in some other jurisdictions, some states in the US, if you look at their delivery of teacher licensure examination and other professional examinations, and even beyond US, you realize that it is not a forever affair for you to be writing and writing and writing. And then has to be the point that once you've written for this number of times, that opportunity is taken away from you if you haven't passed the examination. So I largely agree that the committee needs to have that capping done. It's very important, because my fear is that, look, if somebody is failing continuously, that person becomes desperate to pass. So the person can employ any foul means to pass the examination. So if you are giving a person the opportunity over and over and over, and the person has employed a foul means to pass the examination, and you send the person to the classroom, we cannot imagine the havoc that person will cause to our people. So we need to come to a point whereby we settle on a capping when it comes to the number of races.
Okay, Mr. Divine, I'm grateful that you could join us here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel.